Right, let's try again. See if I've got any sound this time. Speak to me. Have I got any sound? Yay! I don't know. It's this thing. Do I sound like Barry White? Yeah, I've got sound again. Anyway, where was we? Yeah, I went out in the car the other day on FM using the Anytone. I got talking to Paul, Bill, Sandy Man, Eric, as in Charlie Bravo 25. While I was heading out of Luton on the A6, another guy called in. His name was Richard. And he wanted a rig check. Okay, I've got this on video. And he was very quiet. Anyway, eventually he managed to sort his audio out. And Richard was in, oh God, where was he now? Thurley, not far from Bedford. AMC Doogie said he did banger racing. We'll talk about that in a minute, mate. And I might be wrong, but Richard sounded like he was new back on. He was asking if he was off frequency, and I asked him about his rig. He was on a 3900. I asked him if it said 19 or whether it said 33. He said 33, and he asked if he sounded off frequency, and I basically said, not that I can tell. Pardon me. So what I told him was turn the KC shift to around about the 1/4 position and put the clarifier in the middle. I just presume he knew what I meant. But he was another one. There's people popping up all over the place around here at the minute. Adrian Hobby. Oh no, there's sound. Turn the volume down if it's an issue, Adrian. Then we can all talk about you then, mate. Richard Giles is up north. I think it was AMC Doogie said he used to do banger racing. Whereabouts did you used to race? But I wouldn't imagine for a minute that it was anywhere around here, but Adrian is in Devon. I know a bit of Devon, Adrian. I know a bit of Teignmouth, Sheldon, Dawlish, Brixham. They're sort of like some of my favourite areas. You anywhere near any of them, Adrian? This is to everyone. What's the activity like in your particular area? Because around here, there's new people popping up. I wouldn't say all over the place, but there's probably at least 5 people now that are just sort of new again. Swaded Boy, is this live again? Yes, it is. Stuart Dixon family. Sorry about, I don't know what, I think I'm not going to bin that mic, but I think I'll have to stop using it. Yeah, it's funny. Round here, things have slowly started to pick up. Now, Dipsy, when you were saying the banter between the other trawlers is great, is that on the marine band or the CB? Sean says he found 10 people in the local area. Now, Chris Lloyd's asking about a cheap power lead for a 2830. Is a 2830 the one that looks like the Lincoln? I think your best place is probably eBay or phone up Knights or Moonrakers or Thunderpoles. Mickey Blue Eyes is using a handheld and he's not sure what antenna to put on the car. Dips is on the maritime band. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, Chris Lloyd. I'd ring around the local, well, not the local, but the big CB shops. You could try Martin Lynch, Night CB, Moonrakers, Thunderpoles, any of them. They'll better help you out. Doogie's asking about Christmas decks. Yeah, ours are up downstairs. We've got the tree up, and Deb's put some lights up. David Lamb says it's hit and miss where he is. The action is on sideband where I am. Yeah, it tends to be the same with me, mainly because if I message someone, I always ask them to go to sideband. Yeah, good on you, Dipsy. Yeah, it looks like there's still some areas that are pretty dead still. And I feel for any of you guys that are in them areas. Paul Miller, hi mate, how you doing? The guy asking what aerial to put on his car, to get the biggest one, get something like, I don't know, if you can, I don't like recommending Springers, but I think they're pretty cheap. Get the big Springer or one of the Serio aerials like the Serio 4000, something like that. The text seems to be pretty frozen at the minute. 30 people in here. Thanks everyone that's joined. If you've not spoken up yet and said something in the chat section, get cracking on there. There's a good bunch of lads in here. If you've got a problem or just want to chat, here we all are. Darren Barwick says there might be a few on the Marine Emergency Channel after Christmas. Sinking ship or Mayday call or whatever. Yeah, it certainly looks like Boris has got his teeth in to the people in Brussels and the rest of Europe. You know, fair play to him. Well, Dipsy, I don't think he will, mate. I think he's doing all he can, and I think part of the issue with the Brexit thing, sorry to go right off topic here, is about the fishing and the fishing rights and all of that. Because a lot of these, let's say, foreign trawlers are coming into our bits of our ocean that's basically ours, that's protected. I don't even think our trawlers go in it, and they're basically, robbing from there. Darren Howe says he's from a fishing city and he's holding out. What do you mean by that, Darren? Adrian Obbins asking about soldering irons. Well, I bought one from Maplin when Maplin was still around, and it's one where you can adjust the temperature. I always fancied one, but to be honest, I always have it flat out. It's much more than that, you're waiting for ages for the bloody solder to melt. Duke is asking, he has a vintage Midland 76-900. Is it worth much? I don't know that one, to be honest. UK FM home base rig. Adrian says, I think I should open a box of Quality Street and share them out. If you knew how skint I was, you'd be bunging a sweet my way. Don't be so tight, Adrian. Rob Bunyan says they're as cheap as chips on Amazon. There's a lot of good buys to be had on Amazon, unless you're looking for a CB, of course. You can get cheap multimeters, cheap soldering irons, and all the, Eddie's mum says mine's a walnut well. Simon Rickson says he's not been on the air since 1987 and he's asked his girlfriend to get him an SWR meter and a 2LT and a 10-meter fiberglass rope pole. Well, here's one for you, Simon. Work out the price of the two TLT and the fiberglass roach pole and see if it's any cheaper than buying a 5/8 wave silver rod. Or if you're going to go uphill with it, great. Oh, I see. Yeah, I've just read your second message, Simon. It'll get you out of the house and put a smile on your face. Yeah, good for you, Simon. Why not? Tim the Hampshire Hog says he's got a spare tin of roses here. How can I get them to you, Steve? I don't know. If you've got a catapult, maybe if I give my coordinates. Paul Miller says, what's a good but small twig for outside a flat? I get where you're coming from there with this, Paul, but good and small when it comes to aerials don't really go together. The big ones are the best. Can anyone recommend maybe, I don't know if you've got a balcony, Mr. Paul Miller. If you've got a balcony, let us know. That might sort of affect what people... DV27. Del Boy says a boomerang antenna. Do you know what? I couldn't think of that. The name of that aerial, Del Boy. Good one. I'll tell you what I've done in a flat. This was when I had my big old Kenwood. It was an 860 something. Bloody great big thing. I lived in a flat. I didn't have a balcony. And in the living room, we had like floor tiles. Like I don't know, 12 or 14 inches square. Just laid down. All neat and that. So what I did, I lifted up the floor tiles when our indoors was out, and I put a great big square of tin foil down, and then put all of the tiles back down, and then I stuck the mag mount in the middle of the living room. Obviously it weren't touching the tin foil, but it coupled with it had a good SWR, and I used to use that. Yeah, Paul, I don't know, if you've got a balcony of a metal railing, you might be able to stick something like a mag mount on it, or like Del Boy says, a boomerang antenna. You might even be able to, you know, make up a wire dipole of some description. Swady Boy says, was that before the divorce? Funny enough, it was. But you couldn't see the tin foil. It didn't make a noise when you walked across the floor. And all I used to do, when I wanted to go on a rig, I knew where to stick the mag mount. I would use it. When I finished with it, lay it down behind the settee. That weren't an issue. I won't even tell you what the issue was. I'll tell you what I had years ago. Now, one of you guys might remember it, or what it was even called. It was an indoor aerial. Came in two pieces, screwed together in the middle, and each end, or one end at least, was like had like a bit that went in and out on a spring. And what you could do, stick it in the floor, compress it, and then let it back up, and it was like a shower curtain, if you like. And it stuck to the ceiling and the floor. It was bloody useless. I hated it. All I can remember about it, it was black. Steve G says, am I on any weekly nets? Well, I used to be on the 305 net, as you probably know. That's what a lot of my videos were. Up and down the motorway, because I'm not working there now, or not working at all. But I have got some video that I did, I think yesterday or the day before. But Chris Lane, sorry, I think that's twice you've said that. I'll come to you, but because I weren't in the normal area for the 305 net. I was sort of quite a long way out. I struggled to get in because people weren't leaving gaps, but I did manage it in the end. And Chris Lane says he's coming back on. Now things have changed since 2781. Been off for 34 years. Started watching me and Fred. Time for a new setup. So Chris, what are you thinking? Obviously a lot of it depends on your budget. If you ain't got a lot of money, maybe you might end up with one of these little, something like a little Millennium or CRT1 that's just AM FM, or if you've got a few more quid, a sidebander. Just bought the 9900. Well done. And my favourite all-time rig. I love the 9900. I had to sell mine, but I have got the Anytone 6666, which is basically the same rig. And Chris, the 9900, are you using it in the car or at home? What aerial have you opted for? 40 people in the stream now. Thanks everyone for coming and joining, of course. Chris Lane, I'll have a word with Santa for you, mate. I'll tell him that you want the 827 and something like some 213 coax with plugs, of course. Adrian Hobby says got homemade Game Master, and the SWR curve is awesome. 1.1 UK FM channel 22. What's it like on all the other bands, Adrian? Like the mid block, you know. Yeah, Paul Edwards said you can't beat being mobile on a hill. I'm inclined to agree. I've had DX contacts driving along. I spoke to Roy in Corsica probably 3 or 4 times, various Germans, been into Scotland, Italy, God knows how many other places. But generally speaking, if you can get yourself on top of a hill, if there's any long skip, you tend to do better up there. Yeah, nice one, Adrian. That's a good SWR. Did you make it yourself, or was it one that you bought? Chris Lane ordered RG213. What I'll do when I finish this stream, this little chap here, I'll send him off to Santa just to have a word in his ear. Tell him not to forget. Oh, you made it yourself, Adrian. Yeah, well done. I've never done that. I've made a 2LT, but you know, anyone can make one of them. I'll be honest. Everyone was raving about the 2LT. Fred done a video on it. Every one of them others got one. But I'll tell you what put me off for getting one. Because everyone, or a lot of people, were raving on about, you can make a 2LT, and it don't cost you much if you've got a bit of coax laying about. But what got me was the bit that you then had to buy the pole, and for the price of the pole you can buy an aerial. So to me it didn't make a lot of sense, but cut long story short, I made one, and I was a bit apprehensive as to whether it would work, you know, if I'd have to mess around trimming it to get the SWR right. And to my surprise, check the SWR, is absolutely fine. Darren is saying that he's still struggling to know what's best for an overhead DIN slot. Now, Darren, is that in a lorry that you're talking about, as you mentioned the fact that it's overhead? Yes. Is it your own truck or is it a firm's truck, Darren? Okay, Darren, it's your own. All I can suggest, well, you've got two options. Between the McKinley and the 9900, in my book, the 9900 is the way to go. It's so much more powerful and whatnot, but they do get bloody hot. Where your rig is, if the truck's your own, I suppose what you could do is mount a fan behind the rig so it's got air circulation, or, you know, if it was an older truck, make some holes or cut a circle out, put a fan under the rig that draws air down or blows air up. That's what I would do. Now, David Lamb did ask, how do you get on with long aerials on your car? And he says, thinking the Serio Performer at 195 centimetres is too long. Well, I never had the Serio Performer. I had, I'll just get my computer back on. I had the Turbo 5000. It's basically the same aerial but mounted slightly different. Never had an issue with it. The Megawatt 4000 is a little bit longer, only about that much. And the one I'm using now as the President Texas is about that much longer again. I use the big Serio mag mount, slap it in the middle of the roof, off I go. I don't care what it looks like. Now, I will say that my aerial has come off with a roof twice. Once on the way back from Norfolk, I hit a wood pigeon doing about 60 mile an hour. It just flopped the magnet over. And another time going under a railway bridge, you know, you get a lot of roosting pigeons above, and I wasn't going that quick, but pardon me, the aerial obviously is nowhere near the top of the bridge, but the birds fly down and one hit the aerial, but, you know, no damage done. Steve G says, out of interest, what is your furthest contact on the lowest power? Oh, I get you, Darren. Just do what you got to do, mate. To be honest, any rig that produces any decent amount of power is going to get hot. So maybe you want to consider mounting it somewhere else, even if it's only like a temporary thing. Lay it on the dashboard flat, run an extension speaker. So many questions coming up here. Alan Tro here says, is an 80 to 10 meter HF antenna any good for 11 meters? Well, it depends what one it is, how you got it mounted, and whether you can tune it for 11 meters, because it will be a little bit short. You might have to extend it out. All you can do, Alan, is try it. And Steve G, this is coming back to you about what is my furthest contact on low power. Oh God, my lowest power will only be 3 or 4 watts. I remember years ago being mobile on AM. My car was an Austin 1100, had a KT40 on a lip mount on the boot, and the rig I was using was a little AM home base, a little General Electric, and the skip was up, and I happened to just pick the mic up and say, can anyone hear me over the top of all this noise? And a guy from Italy came back. I hear you, my friend, blah blah. We had a bit of a chat on the braking channel. It was on probably 3 or 4 watts. I was talking to my old friend Liam, the one that's now no longer with us. He's basically dead. I had an Antron 99, and the base of it was about level with the top of my head. So it's probably, I don't know, let's call it 6 foot. I'm not 6 foot tall. We call it 6 foot. And I was using a little York CB, no amplifier, and Roy in Corsica called in. Had quite a chat with him. That was probably more down to Roy's beam rather than anything I was doing. Yeah, go for it, Darren. You won't go far wrong with a 9900. It's going to get hot, mate. But, you know, don't be scared of it. Just make sure you're putting it into a good SWR. I think you'll be absolutely fine. I used to wring my one's neck day in, day out, and at times it was scary hot. And when I sold it, it still worked. That's good going, Del Boy. 2 watts to Italy. Hey, look, I can only tell you my experiences, right? And there's no reason it shouldn't work absolutely fine for you, Darren. Again, the McKinley's a nice little rig, but I mean, I've been running mobile on and off, going back right to the beginning. When I first went on rig, if you was mobile, it was a big thing, you know what I mean? Of course, I got my first car. First thing I done, slapped an aerial on it, me CB on it. And I've lost my trail of thought now. Oh yes, being mobile on and off over the years for what, 39 years. I've done the rig, the amplifier, and the aerial. I've done the rig, amplifier, transmatch, aerial. It's all extra bloody wires. Now, if you've got a rig that's legal power or above, like 20 watts, and you keep calling out, you're trying to get them DX contacts and can't quite do it, the next thing you're going to think of is, I want an amplifier. So then you've got your rig, a patch lead, your amplifier, then your aerial, and then you've got to supply your amplifier with a good stable voltage, which means even more wires. If you get the 9900, you don't need none of that malarkey, because the rig's powerful enough to get your DX contacts on its own. Gaming for Life has asked a question. Do you think the frequency shift from 117 megahertz to 199 megahertz is possible by solar radiation? I don't know, I've never heard of that. It's not even close to being harmonic, so I don't know. Anyone else want to read Gaming for Live comment? Don't seem to make any sense to me at all. Mr. X is asking, what's your favourite radio of all? I think the CRT9900, to be honest. There's loads of good rigs out there, but that is my favourite. Back in the 80s and 90s, my favourite rig then was a Cobra 148 GTL DX, purely because of what I sounded like on sideband. Yeah, Gaming for Live. I must. Was that on YouTube that you saw that about the aeroplane? If it was, I might look that up myself. Now, Adrian, there you are taking the Michael, mate. Murphy home base. Oh, don't even go there. I've got to be honest. If one of you lads said, I've got one and you can have it if you want it, I'd say, no, you give it to someone who might need it. If it's the only rig I had, I'd be glad of it, without a doubt. But if I had the choice, definitely not. David Lamb said maybe the plane was calling for help and had the same mic as Steve. Quite possibly, yeah. I've got to be honest, Adrian. I think they all hummed. Bloody awful things. Yeah, Del Boy, that's quite a possibility, that. And Bob says the Murphy hum can be fixed. Yeah, of course it can. Just turn it off. Or stick another power supply in it, you know. Mr. X says he would like the ICOM 7610. And the President Grant 2. Yeah, Grant 2's all right. The ICOM you mentioned, I don't know that one. Chuck it out the window. Did anyone ever have a Fidelity home base? What was it? The Fidelity 3000, wasn't it? The one with a slope in front. Chris Lane said he started with a Maxcom 4E. There was a lot of Maxcoms out. There was one that had a, I can't remember. Do you know what? I can't remember the name, the model of it, but I think it had 120 channels and it had the CB2781 sticker on it, chrome fronted looking thing. Gaming for life. I don't get that question. What's a free gift? I don't know. You'll have to maybe run a spell checker over that. Harvard good buddies. Comtron, NATO. Yeah, I was thinking that the Fidelity 2000 or 2001, one of them two, that they're not bad. I think they've got the same board in them as the Harrier CBX, haven't they? Bob says he's got a Fidelity 3000 in his shed, but he's never used it. And if you're not careful, you'll be heard elsewhere with it. Oh, what's a good gift to get an old amateur back at it? God, your guess is as good as mine. Get him a CB. Swady Boyd's first radio was an AM set, a Lafayette 23 channel. Yeah, he's got a shed and he's also got a Fidelity 3000. Does that sound like someone? Oh, I don't know. Gaming for live. What one? Someone recommend a rig to buy an old amateur to get him back into radio. Danny Blackhorse, yeah, I'm keeping safe, mate. Thanks for asking. Hope you're well as well. Mr. X, I'm in Bedfordshire, mate, Luton. Stefan, I was hoping you would turn up. I had my video camera running when I had it with me when I called into the 305 net. By the time I got it on and called in back next time, there was only Mr. Awesome, Tim over there in, was it Hartford where he lives? And Eric, you'd actually gone, but you were booming through. And I was just outside of Hitchin, Stefan. Yeah, it was good to hear you, Stefan, as well. Because I've never heard you on the rig before. I had no idea it was you. But yeah, nice chatting, albeit brief. I was in and out of up and down hill, and I think when I first caught you, I'd just come out of a town. There was still a lot of noise to drive away from. Was that what you was on, Stefan? You was on your McKinley, was you? Sounded all right, mate. Yeah, it sounded good. I was actually on the Anytone 6666. And I'll be honest, I keep meaning to power test it, and I haven't yet. It should do 60 watts. I won't be surprised if it does a bit more or a bit less. Adrian Hobby says he sounds good on any radio, and he's very modest as well, which is always good to see. How long is it since I've been on the 305? Oh, probably a couple of months, Stefan. Last time I went on there, I was actually up the Downs, but I had a bit of a technical issue with my setup, and everyone was so busy chatting. I thought I'm not going to hack everyone off with my problems. Steve says, why don't I go live and transmit while streaming? Well, I'm using a Wi-Fi connection, Steve. I'm using, it's like a big old dongle thing here. The router's downstairs. I've got a feeling I might knock out my Wi-Fi. Well, I've not actually got home base, but I can run some coax down to the car and talk from up here. It's always difficult, isn't it, if you're buying something for someone else. If he's an old amateur, I wouldn't mind betting that he's probably got a rig in his loft or in his cupboard somewhere. I'd be very surprised if he got rid of all of his gear. I think the gift he was asking about, Stuart, if we're all on the same page here, he was thinking of buying his mate some sort of rig to get him back into it. And I just said, buy him a CB. Or buy him anything, one of them bowfing fungs, whatever you call them. Out of curiosity, Stefan, I don't suppose you clocked my signal, but how was I coming across to you from Hitchin? No, they're not Werthers. They're I can't even remember what they're called. Like a boiled sweet, all different colours. That happens to be a red one. They're all red ones, apart from that green one. They're my favourites, the green ones. I ain't having one of them. Up and down, but 5x5. Yeah, that's good enough. As long as you could hear me. Cheers for that, Stefan. I've got to be honest, a lot of people that have been around, I mean, the little bowfung, whatever you want to call them, these, I did a bloody drawer full of them. up until recently. My mate said, "You got any of them?" I said, "Yeah," and I think I let him have 3 of them. Stefan, I couldn't really see the signal meter because I had me rig on the passenger seat, but it's definitely, you know, if I was to give you a report on amateur radio, I'll say it's a 5x9. Damien for live. Why don't you get him on Zello? I know it's not radio, it's just on your phone, isn't it? But he could join an amateur group and start chatting about radio, because once you start talking about it, it brings back some memories, doesn't it? I mean, the memories that I've shared with you guys and some of your memories you shared with me, just if you didn't have a rig already, you'd probably be browsing the internet looking for one. So Dipsy, are you on that trawler full time now? Because you did say you was a truck driver and then you was an electrician, but you seem to be on the trawler all the time now. So what's the story there, mate? David Lamb, I'm not sure if you're asking me that. Yes, I did. I did the foundation, God, probably over 10 years ago now. Consider it done, James, to the Robin. Better check on the time, innit? I've been on well over an hour, I think. Well, we did have that, well, I had that technical problem, and I think I did tell you guys that one of my computers went wrong. So have I gone quiet again now? Okay, I just saw someone say 10-1. I thought, oh, here we go. Got a sound problem. Anyway, as I was saying, my old computer went wrong. I think it was something that I did to it. So I'm now on my old one, which is an i5. I don't really know much more about it than that. I know it's got 16 gig of RAM in it, and it's got 3 of them little what do you call them, hard drives in it. The one that's like a memory card. Was it I can't remember, HDD is it you call it? Okay, Dipsy, I copied that, mate. Mrs. Doubtfire. SSD, that's it. Thanks, Richard. Gaming for live uses an i3 and 12 gig of RAM. Yeah, my other one was oh my God, Ryzen 5. And it might still be all right, but I don't think it is. Yeah, don't worry, Darren. I won't ask you about computers. My mate Paul does all the sorting out. In actual fact, I might let him have a look at this other one. I had it off of him. So I think the general consensus here is rig-wise, CB or 10-meter rigs that are being used on CB. I think the main two is the 6900, the 9900, and then you've got the Alinco 135, I think, which is basically about the same minute. The McKinley. Hi, Chris from Long Island. I'm sure I've got a QSL card from Long Island somewhere. I wonder if it was you. When this was going back to, I think it was 1989. And the only reason all my QSL cards are from 1989, just me and my friend got ourselves a PO box, and we only run it for a year. So whenever I read out a QSL card to you guys, the year will always be 1989. Steve G's got to go. Yeah, no worries, Steve. Thanks for popping along. Appreciate it, mate. And more people. I mean, obviously, if no one turned up, we'd just be sat like that, wouldn't I? So yeah, cheers for coming. And anyone that's just joined, thanks for joining. If you've not joined in the chat section yet, get stuck in. Tell us a bit about you and what rig, what twig, what part of the world you're in, what antenna you've got, what you want to get, what you've had in the past. Gaming for life. How old are you, mate? Give us a clue. And, you know, if people laugh at you, that's their loss, isn't it? And this is to Chris in Long Island. I've not been on the rig a lot of late, to be honest with you, Chris. What with lockdown over here and all the rest of it. Darren Barwick's in Bury St Edmunds. Not sure I'll get you even with a 9900. Well, with a little bit of favourable conditions, Darren. And don't forget, I'm only mobile. I could turn up anywhere. And if you're mobile as well, if ever you're passing Luton, make sure to give me a shout. Chris said he was on the border in Germany then, in the army. Yeah, fair enough, Chris. Come on, gaming for life. Or live. How old are you? Don't be shy, mate. I'm 58, 59 next month. And the rest, yeah. Cheers, Adrian. I must remember to mute you for the next one. Well, there you go, Darren. I take it you know who to call out for. Charlie Tango 318. And I sound the same on the rig as what I do on here. I've had a lot of people in my time recognise me by my voice. And they're like, oh, hello, is that Steve? And I'm thinking, who's that? I don't recognise that voice, but you know. Well, Darren Howell, when you come to Bedford, if you can remember, be sure to let me know. It'd be good to have a chat on the rig with you, mate. No, I'm only joking with you, Adrian. Danny Blackhorse is 48. Tim G5 Tango Mike. Evening, mate. How you doing? Paul Edwards is 53. Started on the rig in 1982. Adrian Hobby. You sound the same on the radio. Is it broken? Stefan, there's no way you're 60. Or are you? You're joking. Oh, do you know what? No. I thought you was 20 something. You've got a very young voice. Darren's 63. Yeah, catch you later, Darren. Cheers for popping by. We're just sort of still chatting shit here, mate. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, and hope you get on well with your truck and your 9900, mate. No, Darren, you're definitely not the youngest, mate. Well, listen, lads, things are slowed up a little bit here. So rather than risk it all sort of piling away to, you know, wittering down to nothing, I'm going to sort of end the stream. Just so, you know, thanks for everyone for joining. Sorry about the technical issue. God knows what I can do about that. But if the audio from the webcam is good enough, I'll just stick with that, 'cause I don't like this unreliable thing. So if anyone wants to finish off a conversation they're having with someone else, okay, Dipsy, no worries. I'll give you all a minute. Yeah, Stefan, trust me, mate. 70. Oh, hang on. Gaming for Live is 73 years old. Yeah, catch you later, mate. Eddie's mum. Catch you later, Brian. Cheers for joining. Adrian, yeah, I'll be. Yeah, 73's to you, mate. Take care, mate. Danny Blackhorse started with a Radio Shack handheld. Yeah, Chris, don't worry. Consider it done. Little man up there is going to have a word for you. Mr. X, yeah, take care, mate. Yeah, it's been a bit of fun as usual. Okay, Darren, no worries, mate. Still in your teenage years, okay. Yeah, however old you are, if you're on radio, if you're young and coming up, great. If you're 90 years old and on radio, still great. You know, it's a good hobby. Catch you later, Jason. 2 Romeo Tango. Mr. X loved it. Yeah, me and always. I like it. I don't like all this. I was going to really swear then, messing about with the mic. So yeah, I think I'll ditch that one. DX990, 73s, mate. David Lamb. No worries. I'll catch you later, fellas. I'm going to end this stream now. I'm going to get myself downstairs, feed the bird, and then I better send him on his way to Santa. See if we can't sort this fella out with his 9900. Danny Blackhorse, 73s, mate. Take care. Right, that's it. This is Charlie Tango. Catch you later, Mr. Delboy. Cheers for popping by, mate. This is Charlie Tango 318 saying 73s, everyone. Good DX, and hopefully we'll catch you Wednesday on the 7 o'clock stream. Take care, fellas.